Kuala Lumpur is quietly teaching Western cities how to build for the future. And they're not just watching. They're copying. The same urban planners who once dismissed our capital as just another developing city are now flying in to study what we've been doing. This isn't about pride. It's about a fundamental shift in how the world thinks about infrastructure. And by the end of this video, you'll see your daily commute in a completely different light. Before we dive in, if you find this interesting, hit that like button. It helps more Malaysians discover these stories about our own backyard. And if you're proud of what our country has achieved, drop a comment below. I read every single one. Assalamualaikum. Let's start with something you probably take for granted. The Kelana Jaya LRT line. You've been on it hundreds of times. You know the stations, the announcements, the usual delays. But here's what you don't know. London spent 2 years studying this exact system before designing their Elizabeth Line extension. Not Singapore's MRT, not Tokyo's metro. Ours. Why? Because Kuala Lumpur solved a problem that Western cities are only now facing. How do you build mass transit in a city that's already built? London is over 2,000 years old. Paris has been around since 250 BC. They can't just bulldoze neighborhoods. But KL faced the same challenge in the 1990s. We were already a dense, chaotic city. And somehow we threaded elevated rail lines through existing neighborhoods without destroying them. The technique is called minimal footprint integration. Instead of claiming entire streets, our engineers designed support columns that fit into existing road medians. The stations hover above intersections instead of requiring massive land acquisition. It sounds simple now, but in 1996 this was revolutionary. Western cities were still building subways that cost billions and took decades. We built elevated lines in a fraction of the time and cost. Here's the part that surprises foreign planners. Our system isn't just cheaper, it's more flexible. When London extends a subway line, they're locked in. The tunnels go where they go. But elevated lines? We've already extended and modified ours multiple times. The addition to Putra Heights, the connection to Subang. These weren't in the original plan. We adapted. Now cities like Los Angeles and Seattle are building elevated metro systems using our exact playbook. They even hired some of the same engineering firms that worked on our lines. The irony? 20 years ago, American consultants told us elevated trains were outdated and we should build subways like real cities. Today, they're admitting elevated is smarter for cities in hot climates. Less maintenance, better ventilation, lower costs. But here's where it gets really interesting. The infrastructure copying goes way beyond trains. Walk through KLCC. Look up at the skyway system. Those air-conditioned bridges connecting buildings. You've used them to avoid the rain, to escape the heat. Seems normal, right? It's not. This is one of the most studied pedestrian systems in the world. Minneapolis was the first Western city to adopt it. They call it their skyway network now. Then came Calgary, Des Moines, and Charlotte. But they all studied KLCC first, because we did something different. Western skyways are usually private. They close at night. They're only in downtown cores. Our system is public, stays open, and extends beyond just the business district. The Malaysian innovation was integration. Our skyways don't just connect buildings. They connect to LRT stations, to bus stops, to parking structures. You can travel from your car to your office without touching the ground. In our climate, that's not luxury. It's practical. Western planners initially dismissed this as anti-urban because it took people off the streets. Then they realized something. In extreme climates, whether hot like ours or cold like Minneapolis, people will drive if you don't give them climate-controlled alternatives. Our skyways keep people using public transport. They make walking viable. Suddenly, the Western urban planning gospel about street-level vitality didn't apply everywhere. Context matters. Climate matters. We knew that. They're learning it. Here's a number that shocks people. The KLCC skyway system moves over 100,000 pedestrians daily. That's comparable to some entire western downtown districts. And it cost a fraction of what similar systems cost in North America because we built it as the buildings went up, not retrofitted later. Now let's talk about something you definitely take for granted. Smart tunnel. Foreigners lose their minds when they hear about this. A tunnel that's both a highway and a flood control system. They literally can't believe it exists. I've watched presentations where Australian engineers initially thought it was a concept proposal. Then we showed them it's been operational since 2007. Their jaws dropped. Here's why Smart Tunnel breaks their brains. Western infrastructure is single purpose. A highway is a highway. A drainage system is drainage. Never the twain shall meet. Different budgets, different departments, different decades of planning. We said, what if it's both? The tunnel has 3 modes. Most of the time, it's a highway. During heavy rain, the top deck closes and becomes a water channel. During extreme flooding, both decks channel water. This kind of flexible infrastructure was theoretically possible, but no one had actually built it. We did. In a seismically active zone, under a major city, while keeping traffic flowing. The cost savings are insane. Building 2 separate systems would have cost over RM4 billion. We did both for RM 1.9 billion. Cities like Miami and Houston, which face both traffic and flooding, have sent delegations to study it. They're now planning similar systems. But they're discovering what we learned. The engineering is the easy part. The hard part is getting different government departments to cooperate. That's actually the biggest lesson Western cities are learning from KL. It's not just the infrastructure itself. It's how we build it. Malaysian infrastructure projects have something called integrated delivery. The same team handles planning, design, and construction. In Western cities, these are separate contracts, separate timelines, separate accountability. By the time construction starts, the original planners are long gone. If something doesn't work, everyone blames everyone else. Our approach means when problems arise during construction, the people who designed it are still there to solve it. This is why we can build things faster. The MRT Kajang line went from planning to operation in less than a decade. Comparable Western projects take 15 to 20 years. Sound impossible? London's Crossrail project started planning in 1974. It opened in 2022. Almost 50 years. Our entire MRT network was conceived, designed, and largely built in less time than London took for one line. This speed isn't about cutting corners. It's about efficiency. And now Western cities are trying to figure out how we do it. The answer isn't complicated. We involve contractors in the design phase. We make decisions faster. We don't have 15 layers of public consultation that delay everything by years. There's a balance. We could probably use more public input, but they could definitely use less bureaucracy. Here's something subtle you've probably never noticed. KL's infrastructure is insanely intercompatible. Your Rapid KL card works on LRT, MRT, monorail, and buses. That integration seems obvious. It's not. Try using London's Oyster card on all their systems. Different companies, different payment systems, different fare. We built integration from the start because we had to. We were building everything at once. Western cities are trying to retrofit integration into systems built decades apart by different authorities. It's like trying to make your Android phone seamlessly work with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Technically possible. Practically a nightmare. Cities like Sydney are now redesigning their entire fare system based on our model. They're learning that infrastructure isn't just about the physical stuff. It's about the systems, the integration, the user experience. But here's what really gets me. The thing Western cities struggle to copy. We built all this while being a developing country. Our GDP per capita was a fraction of theirs. We didn't have unlimited budgets. We had to be creative, efficient, and practical. That constraint produced innovation. We couldn't afford to build the gold standard Western solution. So we invented our own standards. The smart tunnel exists because we couldn't afford both a new highway and a massive drainage system. The elevated LRT exists because we couldn't afford decades of subway construction. The integrated transport card exists because we couldn't afford to run multiple separate systems. Necessity bred innovation. Now wealthy Western cities are studying our solutions because they're facing their own budget constraints. The era of unlimited infrastructure spending is over everywhere. Suddenly, the Malaysian way of doing more with less isn't just practical for developing countries. It's the model for everyone. There's a deeper shift happening here. For decades, infrastructure expertise flowed one way, from west to east. Consultants from London, New York, and Sydney told Asian cities how to build. That's reversing. Not completely, not dramatically, but noticeably. The engineers who built our MRT are now consultants on projects in Australia and Canada. The firms that designed our integrated transport systems are winning contracts in American cities. Malaysian infrastructure expertise is an export now. Think about that. We went from learning to teaching in one generation. So next time you're sitting on the LRT, stuck in traffic near KLCC, or driving through the smart tunnel, remember this. You're not just using infrastructure. You're using the future that Western cities are trying to build. They're looking at us, taking notes, and wondering how we did it. We did it by being practical, integrated, and efficient. We did it by building for our actual needs, not copying what looked impressive elsewhere. We did it by being Malaysia. If this changed how you see KL, hit that subscribe button. More stories about Malaysia that you won't hear anywhere else are coming. And drop a comment telling me which piece of Malaysian infrastructure you think is underrated. I'm reading all of them. Thanks for watching.